repeal it, and he didn't think that it was more important than securing our borders. So just keep in mind, you can't listen to just what they say. You have to look at what they do, how they vote. That is the real story. Actions speak louder than words. And everybody is so focused on the presidential race that they're letting too much slide. And I caution them against that. I was going to tell everyone to call those. I had a list of 5 Republicans that said they were going to vote for her, and I was going to tell everyone to call them today. Until they voted, you still have time, but it is now official. She is the nominee. What do you think about that, Mary?
I am appalled. That's the only word I can think of that's decent. Anyway, the problem is she has an even worse record than Eric Holder. And it boggles the mind, the kiss between Boehner and Pelosi. And you think about those things and you're like, what is going on behind closed doors? I agree with Mona on that. Something's not right, because all I'm hearing on radio, talk shows, is how bipartisan they're coming together, they're doing this, but it isn't positive for Americans. It's positive for them, for what they're wanting. I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine, and it sickens me. Although, I have a suggestion, and it's taken from Numbers USA. When we see a bill coming forward, or we agree with something, we give positive feedback. It takes a simple phone call, but when we don't like something, we send a postcard and choose a color. Numbers USA uses pink. I love that, because that means that there's their pink slip. And I think it's a positive thing, because they pay attention to it. Oh, I got a postcard, and it's in pink. What is it about? And I think that's one way we can say, hey, this is what we think, and we're going to work very hard to make sure you get a pink slip if you don't start working for the American people instead of yourselves. And now I do have a couple positive things to say about Congress and Senate, and that was they did pass that Justice for Victims of Trafficking Act of 2015, and it is now passed. There was 99 agreed with it, and there was one no vote because he was out campaigning, so that's understandable. And the other thing is, I was impressed this week by Representative Brady Kevin from Texas, because he has got it passed in Congress about the repeal of the estate taxes for generation skipping transfer taxes, so that you're not taxed to receive your inheritance. And I think that's a positive thing. We'll see what the Senate does, because again, it's watching them. They may do something, 1 good and 3 bad, and that's not a positive for anybody. And that just irritates me, that they'll do 1 good move for Americans and then 10 to destroy. And I think that keeping their feet to the fire is the only way that we're ever going to survive this administration. And I'm very impressed. I think everybody here admires Gowdy, because Gowdy, is trying so hard. And he was on the Greta Van Susteren show yesterday, and he said it would take 2 phone calls and we would have the Benghazi investigation cleared up. One from President Obama and one from the Secretary of State, John Kerry, and they could expedite it if they were so inclined. So why are we still, that's exactly what Mona said, dragging their feet, and then they'll expose all this so it can be way behind, and what difference does it make? And that's how I feel about watching these people, is getting, like I do, and I'm sure all of you do too, I get emails every day that tells me what bills they're looking at, and I think we need to read them, find out what they're doing. Some people, it's just too much trouble to see what the House and what they're doing and what, but we have to take the time in order to support these bills. So, I think I also have, it's a little bit maybe ahead of time, but I found the quote from Ted Cruz that I just loved. And it says, if only the terrorists attacked the golf course, that might actually get the White House's attention. And that's what we need to do. We need to start, I wouldn't say attacking, but we need to start making our Senate and our Congress pay attention. Just like we need to make the administration sit up and pay attention to the American people, not to what they want for themselves, because it's money in their pocket and fame. And that's what I have to say, Marcia.
All right. Well, now I'm fired up. I am so fired up now. Okay. Why is it that when they talk about bipartisanship, I'm so sick of hearing that word, I could just absolutely toss my cookies, to put it mildly. Why is it when we talk about let's give and let's take and let's give and let's take and we'll make an agreement and we'll get this figured out, why is it the Republicans always have to cave? Why is it that every time we want something done, the Republicans have to step back and give up? And they're always giving up because the Democrats are pushing. And their agenda is so bad for this country and so evil and so far out there. It's as though we are reliving history in the early days of the German Reich coming along. And people don't understand because they're too busy playing on their cell phones and playing games and watching TV and just totally ignoring the facts. They're getting involved in absolutely nothing of importance. And lives are just losing everything that we hold dear, and people just don't care about it. Well, the few who do are the ones who are getting some things done. So kudos to you if you're actually doing something. And as Roland pointed out earlier, you don't have to do much. Many hands make light work, and you can get a lot. You can get a lot done if you will just do something. Write letters. I mean, what if you're a shut-in? If you're a shut-in, what if you don't have much internet use? You know, you're hearing us on the internet. If you can take a little time and write some emails or handwrite some letters, you can get a lot done. Make old-fashioned phone calls. They matter. They say that for every phone call, they believe that that's probably about 100 people. So make a phone call. Let them know how you feel. They don't always pay attention to what we say. They rarely do, but at least you register your complaint. I had a friend. He's passed away now, but I had a friend who used to call the offices of our elected officials every single day, and they knew him by name. They knew his voice, and he'd call every day, and they'd say, "How are you, Cliff?" And he'd say, "Get me through to so and so, and get me through to so and so." And then when he got through, he'd make some more calls. And you can do that too. Just go to the switchboard. And when you get through with one, you can go back to the switchboard and they'll just move you on down the line. You can spend 20 minutes on the phone. That's a great thing. And that would be wonderful for somebody to do that. But the Republicans have got to stop caving to the left. They always want us to let our guard down. They always want us to let our morals go down. Well, we can't do that. Not if we're going to try and save this country. And I'm telling you what, these people on this panel have got it right. We have got to hold their feet to the fire, and we've got to stand up and pardon me. We've got to stand up and say something. I was texting a woman last night, and she said, "This and this and this is going on in our community." And I said, "Well, somebody's got to speak up and say something." Well, nobody wants to do that. It's politically incorrect to correct somebody in public. No, we have to do it anyway. If we don't do it, who will? If Christians don't stand up, who will? Are we expecting the atheists to stand up and speak for us? No. Are we expecting all these little people who are getting free cell phones and food stamps and all of these freebies, are we expecting them to stand up? If not, then who will? We have to do it. You and I, we that pay taxes, we that love our nation, we who have an interest in what our grandchildren are going to inherit. So, we're fired up. I hope you're fired up. Mona, I know you had something you wanted to add.
Well, I read today yesterday when I got on Facebook a thing that Teresa had posted about down in Louisiana where you can't pay cash anymore if you go to a yard sale. That they passed a law saying that you cannot receive cash for junk sale in your yard sales. Well, of course, we know the reason why that is because there's no way to trace that money unless they will let you write a check. Of course, that's a paper trail, and the government will know that you're getting money so they can take more of your money. The other part of it is that people also do not understand how powerful this government is over their lives right now. We use credit cards, we use debit cards, we use online banking, we use direct deposit. Now, just in one swift move, the government could shut every bit of that down, and there are very many of us out here that depend on our Social Security checks or something like that and our Medicare benefits if we have paid in and we're older in order to survive, and the government can actually take all of that away from us. And the young people do not see this. They're the ones we need to preach to. They're the ones that are out there saying in their colleges, we're not going to let the governor of Texas speak at the, I think it's the University of Texas or North Texas, because he doesn't fit our ideals. The governor, there's a woman that was speaking at another one of the colleges that she's an author and was writing on women being abused and everything, and the women rose up against her because she doesn't fit their idea of a feminist. This is what is happening, is that we are allowing these small factions to take over our country because our representatives will not stand up for the people, the majority of the people. What they do is they give in to these people. And why? Because people like George Soros and all of them have money, and they want this to happen. They want us to be divided by these 1%ers of our population that are controlling it. People do not realize atheism is a religion. To have no religion is a religion. I resent having to go into a building without having a church cross there. Okay, bye.
Well, it's time for us to take a break. Thank you, Mona. I love your fire. All right, we're going to take a break, and we hope you enjoy this piece, and we'll be right back with Right Opinions. You just stay right there.
Sound the glad tambourine, join in the festive dance, give the joyful shout, take up the battle stance, for the Lord is a mighty God, and the Lord, He is fighting for me. Yes, the Lord is a mighty God, He makes all my enemies flee. Sound the glad tambourine, join in the festive dance, give the joyful shout, take up the battle stance, for the Lord is a saving God, and the Lord, He is setting me free. Yes, the Lord is a saving God, He makes a dry path through the sea. Sound the glad tambourine, join in the festive dance, give the joyful shout, take up the battle stance, for the Lord is a loving God, and the Lord, He shows favor to me. Yes, the Lord is a loving God, my shelter He always will be. Sound the glad tambourine, join in the festive dance, give the joyful shout, take up the battle stance, for the